Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. We are going to talk about how to make your condiments probiotic. And my shows are really an attempt to change your mind about sickness and disease and to give you some strength in your own belief in your own wellness. And in spite of all the advances that we've had in medicine, we are more than afraid of ever of sickness and disease. And why really is this? It's because so few people are really demonstrating to us through their own life examples how good you can actually feel on a daily basis. Most people don't feel well. So today's show, we're going to talk about some little things that you can do to really help strengthen your immune system, your body's ability to fight sickness and disease through something so simple, something that we all have in our refrigerators, and that's condiments. And not only is it easy, it's delicious, and it's fun to make. It's really fun to make. And I have them in my fridge, and I use them daily. I use them all the time. And we're going to talk about how easy it is, how fun it is, and then I'm going to give you some ideas about what you can do with them. So we all eat condiments, right? And these are really easy to make, but most people just buy their condiments. And that's just because we're just conditioned ourselves to do this. But it's just crazy easy to make these. And if you make them the way I teach you to make them, which is very simple, you get probiotics in your diet, which is going to help you because if you're going to probably eat ketchup or mayo or salad dressings or mustard or something like that on a regular basis. So if they're filled with probiotics, then you're naturally supporting your body's trillions of microbes, replenishing them with the good microbes that you need. And some of these can only take less than 5 minutes. Some of them only take 20 seconds to make. So I want to tell you about that. And, I did a video not too long ago. I think it was this last couple days ago, and I was showing you how to make this breakfast, or it can be a dessert too. Either it was kind of a dessert shake, and all of these recipes I have created to help my own family because even though I really believed in them, I had to encourage and coax them into making them in the very beginning, which was about 16 years ago, because they hadn't had the transformative power that had happened to me because they weren't really trying them yet. So in the very beginning, when I started making cultured foods, I would basically just trick them. And I would tell them it was, I was making them this pudding or a milkshake, and I would fill it with kefir and make it taste really good. And I started making my own probiotic condiments. And because I knew they were going to eat ketchup and I knew they were going to do that. In the beginning, I just added some of my cultured veggie juice or some of the kefir whey to regular ketchup in a bottle, because I just would add a spoonful just to make it probiotic. And little by little, I began to reveal to them what I had been doing for years. And as they got better and better, each one of them found something that these cultured foods healed. For my husband, his eyes got better. His eyesight got better. He had a cataract in his eye, and then the other one got a cataract, and then it stopped growing because he started eating these foods, and the doctor was like, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to keep doing it because this is working. And then my daughter Macy had IBS and terrible food allergies, and she got better. And then my daughter Holly had, she's struggling with acne and hormonal issues, and it took about a month for her to have kefir every single day for it to clear up. And then she started sleeping better because she was having trouble sleeping, and she stopped getting colds and flus. And then all these changes started happening to her that made her a believer. And my son DJ, he's interesting. He's gone off the wagon a lot when he lived alone, and he's come back to it because he's found that he has 2 or 3 times the energy, and he starts losing weight, and he starts feeling better. And when he doesn't have it, he doesn't feel as good. So each one of them had to be convinced of their own merit, that they needed these foods. And I could talk till I was blue in the face, but until their own body showed them the value of it, they didn't really change. And so in the very beginning, things like condiments and shakes and smoothies and things I would put these cultured foods in and didn't tell them, slowly transformed their microbes. And it was an easy and fun way to do it. So my condiments were originally fermented years ago. I mean, all condiments were. Basically, that's how condiments were started. They were fermented. For instance, the Romans were the first to experiment with mustard. They mixed grape juice known as must and ground up the mustard seeds and put them together and called it burning must. So that was the original way they made mustard. And the two Latin words mustum ardens, hence the name mustard, became what we know today as mustard. And in the beginning, mustard was used for medicinal purposes by the famous physician Hippocrates for things like topical treatments for inflammatory conditions such as arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis was really, that was a huge treatment for it. But it was also used in culinary needs too. And this was just, something that was very well known back then. And my experiments with mustard have been very intense because I didn't realize how hot mustard seeds could get. And I'm pretty excited about this because on my new book, I have a new mustard recipe that I absolutely love. I'm kind of a mustard fanatic. I love mustard. And I think right now, let's see, I have maybe 4 different mustards in my refrigerator that I try because I eat so much mustard. And mustard powder, if you could buy mustard powder, it doesn't really have a strong flavor until you add water to it. And then as soon as you add water to it, it begins this enzymatic process that enhances it and makes it hot and very pungent tasting. And I mean hot. And I learned that the hard way. There's a couple ways to stop the heat when you mix mustard powder with water. And the one way to do this is to add hot water or to add something like a vinegar-like substance such as kombucha. And this will stop that enzymatic process and result in a delicious mustard and take down the heat a little bit. So if you soak mustard seeds or mustard paste in kombucha for a week, it makes a crazy good mustard. And then you can blend it into mustard. And I have recipes on my website at culturedfoodlife.com. And in my books, I have a new recipe. You can mix a little bit of honey in it. But basically, you're buying different types of mustard seeds or the mustard powder. And there's brown and white and yellow mustard seeds. And each one of them has a different heat potency on them. But if you mix them with something like kombucha or hot water, you're going to take down the heat a little bit. And you're going to let it ferment for a few days on your counter. And then you can mix some garlic powder in there, some honey. I have tried all different kinds of things and I love it. I love the different things. And sometimes I like to leave a few of the whole seeds in there because I like mine a little grainy. But it's a very, very simple process. And it only takes a couple of days to ferment on your counter. And it lasts, a long, long time, a year more in your fridge. And perfectly preserved by the kombucha and by the process of fermentation. And it's just mustard. And you can make all different kinds. And I encourage you to go to my website and type in condiments or go to the recipe index and find the condiments. And there you can see a couple of my recipes. Mustard's super easy. But however, don't taste it right away because oh my goodness, I did that. And it was intense. It takes a couple days to mellow, sometimes longer than a couple days, maybe 3 or 5 days. And don't taste it right away because you're going to clear your sinus cavities in seconds. So I've had a couple experiences with that. But if the kombucha helps mellow that out, and so does the fermentation. But you will love it. And who doesn't like mustard? I mean, some people don't like mustard, but if you love mustard, you got to try making your own mustard. It's so fun. It's so easy. You can go get the powder or the seeds. Most health food stores have it. Some grocery stores you can purchase the seeds or the powder at. If you want to do both, I'd like to do both. I like to just buy the yellow mustard powder and then buy the seeds too to mix them in and make a course. And you can do it both ways. And it's really, really fun. Now, ketchup was originally a Chinese sauce made with fermented fish sauce and spices, and they called it Ketchup. There's There was no tomatoes in the first ketchup, and it wasn't until a British scientist and horticulturist named James Mees revised a ketchup recipe in 1812, and he added tomatoes, and he referred to tomatoes as love apples. And his recipe contained tomato pulp, spices, and brandy, and it became a huge hit. Ketchup is just something everybody loves. Everybody uses it, and it's really fun to make. And you can impress your friends and have a condiment that you can make in many different wonderful ways. I have a new cranberry ketchup in my new book, Cultured Food in a Jar, that I absolutely love and adore. That's one of my favorites. And cranberries are so good for you, but they make a really wonderful ketchup. It has a little sweet taste to it. It has a little tart to it. But boy, I love it. It's one of my favorite things. I'll put it on different things that I make. I've even put it on vegetables. I've put it on chicken or fish, but it's great on French fries or whatever you want to make. But ketchup is super easy, and it's not hard to make. The fermented fish sauce you can buy at most grocery stores, and it helps ferment it. And you can also add a culture to it that I explain on my website. You'll see a recipe there at culturedfoodlife.com. There's one there, and then there's some new ones in my book. And it's really interesting. Ketchup has so many different wonderful condiments that you can use it for. But like I will also use it to mix into other recipes, whether it's salad dressing, and the fact that it's probiotic in nature, the one that I make, will make your salad dressing probiotic. So it's a wonderful condiment to have on hand. And I have a lot of new condiments recipes on my website and in my book. And one of the reasons is that I have found that there's a lot of prebiotic fibers that you can find in things like potatoes and beans and plantains. And when these items are cooked and cooled, it becomes a resistant starch. So it resists digestion in the body. And these fibers that are in some of my recipes really have a powerful impact on your body. They can help with weight loss, inflammation, blood sugar, all over. So a lot of these condiments that I've been making, I love to make home-baked French fries and sweet potato fries. And then we have dipping sauces that I make, and I have several of them. I have a French fry dipping sauce in my book that's to die for. And we just love that. It's such a fun thing to do on a Saturday or Friday night. And what's really cool about it is that you're feeding your microbes in a powerful way, because the potatoes themselves have the resistant starch in them, and then the cultures have the probiotics in them. So you're making all your gut bacteria grow and multiply by crazy by having these delicious condiments and even homemade French fries. That it's a fun way to really feed your microbiome. And I love it. And my family loves it. And they don't know. They're, well, they do, because I tell them, but you don't really realize how much you're helping your body. This resistant starch that is found in potatoes is a unique fiber. And I want to tell you a little bit about it, because a lot of people don't understand it. Resistant starch is bulky, so it takes up a lot of space in your digestive system. And it's in things like potatoes and beans and plantains, and then it's even in whole grain rices. They have a resistant starch in them. And it's different than which is a prebiotic. The starch is a prebiotic. And so it's unlike other fibers because it gets fermented in your large intestines, and it creates a beneficial fatty acid called butyrate. And butyrate is really cool. And normally it can't reach the large intestines, but it does this when you're eating these types of foods, because it hitches a ride on the starch, this resistant starch. And as it does that, it gets to the places that it normally wouldn't get in. And so butyrate prevents some of these carbs from being stored as fat. It reduces inflammation. It helps your blood sugar and a host of many other things. And I love that, that's all going on inside our bodies and we don't even know about it. And it's really interesting that as the more your body gets this special this fatty acid called butyrate, the more it helps so many aspects of your digestion, inflammation. It's so important for our bodies to have this, and it's hard to get sometimes. But when you combine this resistant starch, which is in potatoes, with a condiment that's probiotic, you get a double whammy. You get all different kinds of microbes growing, and then you get the fatty acids from the butyrate that are growing that are going to increase all of your microbiome in a very, very powerful way. So ketchup is really just adding a culture to tomato paste. And then you add some mineral-rich salts. So I like maple syrup in mine, and some cayenne pepper, and garlic, a little bit of garlic. And then you whiz it all together, even the blender, a food processor. And then you add a little bit of this fish sauce. And 2 days you got ketchup. That's basically all it is. And boy, is it delicious. And you can find that recipe on my website, and you can also find it in my new book. I've got some new ones. I love to mix ketchup and mustard together for a dipping sauce, but I seem to be the only one who likes to do that. But boy, it is so good. And it has so many benefits for you, and it's super, super fun to make. And what's really interesting about all of these different condiments is each one of them has feeds different microbes in your gut. And so it's great that there's a variety of different kinds. And then the other condiment I want to talk about that does even more is salad dressings. And salad dressings, it's interesting. Their history is kind of fun to learn about. And it dates back to ancient times because the Babylonians used oil and vinegar for dressing. And then in Europe, the European monarchs served enormous salads in their great courts for parties with as many as 35 ingredients in one enormous salad bowl. And they had many exotic green items and vegetables, and then all these dressings they came up with. But it really wasn't until the 20th century that people began to be able to purchase dressings, that they showed up in stores. Until then, you just pretty much had to make them at home, which was very easy to do. We've just gotten out of the habit of it because so many are so simple. They can be 3 ingredients. And I can show you how to make them cultured too. And I have tons of dressings on my website. I have things like French Caesar dressing, lemon, apple, a Thousand Island dressing, and they're just a blast to make. And one of the ways that I teach you to do that, kombucha is in a lot of the dressings, but we also have another condiment that I use a lot in my dressings, and that is Kombucha Mayo. And oh my word, you guys need to learn to make this. It's a 20-second recipe, and I have a video on it that you can go on YouTube at Donna Schmink's Cultured Food Life. You can go check out this video. And guys, this is a life-changing recipe. It is so crazy easy, and it is so delicious, and I never go without it in my refrigerator. And I use it on everything. You can make, salad dressings, potato salad, and it is so good for you. And it's so, so, so simple. And if you haven't had a homemade mayo, then you're missing out. And you're going to have to try this wonderful dressing. It's got a probiotic in it called Saccharomyces boulardii that you just need to have in your daily diet because it's such a fantastic probiotic, and makes the best potato salad, which has resistant starch in it, which is going to feed your mycos, reduce inflammation, help your body to grow and multiply those special microbes that it needs. And it takes 20 seconds. Basically what you're doing, and you can see this on my video, is you're taking a cup of oil, and I like olive oil, or you can use avocado oil. You can use any kind of oil you like. I've done it in many different ways. Olive oil keeps it more of a creamy texture, but there are other oils work really well too. And then you're going to put a few seasonings like garlic and a little bit of mustard powder and salt, and let's see what else. I think a couple egg yolks. And you're going to blend it all up with an immersion blender. And those are one of those stick blenders that you just stick. You put all of this in a jar. You stick the immersion blender down in there and turn it on for about 20 seconds till it all gets mixed up and turns into creamy mayo. And my goodness, it is life-changing because you never have to buy store mayo again. And if you haven't looked at the back of a bottle of store mayo, you really should, because there's all kinds of stuff in there that's not good for you. Soybean oils, chemicals, preservatives. And since it only takes 20 seconds to blend it up and it takes like a minute to put everything into the jar, you guys, it's just a fantastic way to make your own homemade mayo. And it's so easy and so much better for you. And it's probiotic. And the cool thing about all of this is it doesn't take very long and it lasts a long time in your fridge. I had mine in there for a couple months and it was still fine. Oh, and you put kombucha in it too. I keep forgetting that. The kombucha is the vinegary part that allows the oil and vinegar to turn into mayo. But you need an immersion stick blender. You can do it in a regular blender, but you have to stand there for it takes 5 minutes to do in a regular blender because you have to pour in the oil very, very slowly. And so that it will emulsify. But if you get one of those emulsion stick blenders, and on the recipe I give you a link so you can see what it looks like, and it's just on Amazon, or you can go to your local store and find them. They're pretty easy and they're inexpensive, but you're going to want it because it'll do other things too. Immersion blenders are fantastic for making all kinds of soups and blended things, and you just stick the stick in the jar, turn it on for 20 seconds, and it makes the most creamy, delicious mayo. And then not only do you save money by buying your own, but you also make it probiotic and you get rid of all those chemicals, and you're using a healthy oil. If you do use other oils, for instance, if you use coconut oil, which you can do, your mayo will get thick because it will harden in the fridge, because that's what coconut oil does, whereas olive oil will stay creamy. I think that you can do it with avocado oil, but I'm not sure if that solidifies in the refrigerator or not. But you'll love it. And you can even change it up. You can put a few sprigs of basil in it, or herbs that would make it a more flavored mayo. There's lots of ways to do it. And that is on my YouTube. That's on my website for the Kombucha Mayo, and it's in my book. So I really hope if you do any of them, try that one, because there's so many things you can do with it, and you'll show yourself you can make your own condiment in 20 seconds. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? I mean, I use it all the time. I have in my book, Cultured Food in a Jar, I have an aioli sauce that I make all the time, and I use kombucha mayo and garlic and lemon juice. And some, I can't remember what else is in there, but it is to die for. And I have to keep a jar of that in my fridge at all time because my daughter Holly just absolutely loves and adores it. And it's a great sauce, and it's a great condiment to have. And these are just a few things that don't take a lot of time. And then I have so many salad dressings, and guys, they're so simple to make. If you're, I've got a kombucha Italian dressing that is so good that I've been making it. Oh gosh, that's my salad dressing of choice right now. That's the one that's in my fridge right now that we're eating all the time. And then as we run out, I make a new one. But boy, do I love that dressing. And talk about simple. It's so good. It tastes delicious. It's super simple to make, and it just makes your salad pop. And it's probiotic. And so all of these things are so easy to make. We just got out of the habit of making them because we just, we're so conditioned to go to the grocery store and buy our condiments that it never even dawns on us that we could make our own because we were never really taught. All of these homemade condiments have billions of probiotics, and they're really perfectly preserved for months. And you guys, you will just love them. Your family won't know they're eating billions of good bacteria. And people will just think you're super talented that you make your own condiments. And trust me, this is true. You just got to check out my recipe and my book on my website at culturedfoodlife.com and sign up for my free ebook. I got beautiful pictures, instructions. I show you all these condiments. You'll get weekly tips and emails that will really inspire you to see how simple and easy it is. So I hope you will give it a whirl. I hope you'll try to make just at least one condiment. Just give it a try. Check out my website. Maybe everybody will start making their own condiments again, and everybody will get healthy eating ketchup and mustard and mayo. Wouldn't that be awesome? Somebody's got to start it. You be the first one of your friends to do it, and watch how it spreads with your friends. take it to your parties, your get-togethers, and, share it with one another on how easy it is to make and change your health simply by eating condiments. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope to see you next week, and have a great week, and check out one of the recipes on my website. Have a good one, guys.